Hello everyone. As you can see, we are on OpenAI's website. Now you may be wondering, why is this open? What does this have to do with the contents of this video? We wanted to learn what an API is. Are we building an application with ChatGPT in this video? No, we are not. We are here because of this part itself, API. So what does OpenAI have to do with that? What do all these other websites that we keep hearing about have to do with it? For example, Google's API, Twitter's API, Instagram's API, whatever it may be. What is an API and what does it have to do with us if we are getting into development? That's what we are here for, so that's what we learn. So API, it basically stands for Application Programming Interface. If you've looked this video up, I'm assuming you at least know the full form. If you don't, no problem, because it does not make any sense anyway, does it? Application programming interface just sounds super complicated. So what we're going to do is try to break it down. Application, very simple, means that whatever this API is has something to do with an application that some developers have developed at some company or on their own. Programming interface, that means that whatever programs are part of this application, whatever is the code of this application, this API is basically an interface for that. An interface, by that I mean it is simply a doorway with a handle. It is a doorway to the application's features. What do I mean by that? For example, if you build an application on your own, maybe it's a social media application like Instagram, or if it is a stock trading application like Zerodha, if you have to sell that application to a client or maybe want some customers on that application, you will have to give them a doorway to access that application, right? So what you do is you build a nice, pretty looking front end. What will that front end do? It has to access your database somehow, but front ends typically don't access database. It's a good idea to separate the front end and the back end. So the front end, what it does is it makes some requests. So right, you have your front end, or as we call it, the client. It makes some requests to your API. This badly drawn box will be our API. That API then gets to decide which part of the application this request will be forwarded to. This is an interface, right? It's a door. You enter the door, there are lots of rooms in there. What kind of rooms? For example, if I go over here to YouTube, there's a bunch of information over here. We'll get on that, don't worry. For now, just look at this part. It's a YouTube channel, as you can see, it's my channel, self promotion over here. So you see there is information related to the channel, there's a profile picture, there is a list of videos that you can see over here. You can see the count of subscribers. If there were any notifications, you would see a count over here. So what a client does is whenever a page is loaded on a browser, the client makes all these requests to get the data of the videos, of the notifications, of all these things. It makes the requests to the API. The API then decides whether to get this information from your notification section of the application, or the video listing part, or the comments part of the application. Could be anything that your application consists of. So the API passes on that information, processes it, and returns a response to the client, and the client then displays it in a pretty way for us. All right, so that's what an API essentially does. Now, question is, how does this API forward it to other parts of the application? Simply speaking, it's made up of a lot of different functionalities. The way to make them unique is via two main parts. One part is the fixed. Sorry, there are three main parts. One part is fixed. For example, if I'm making a request to YouTube's API, it will call a particular domain, right? That is www.youtube.com. So www is the subdomain, youtube.com is the domain. All right. So it will make a request to this part. So the two main parts that determine which part of this youtube.com's API this request will go to are the route and the request type. So A route is basically a path on your URL, right? You've seen this before as well on your browser. You see, after youtube.com, there is a certain path over here, right? That is the channel name slash videos. Here as well, in the API part, it says slash YouTube I slash v1, that is the version of this API, slash notification slash get unseen count. So it basically wants to get the count of the notifications that the user has not read yet. So if there was such a count, it would then be displayed over here by the front end. So we see this is the route over here. Second part is the request type, that is right below that, this request method. This is a post request. A post request basically means when we try to send some information to the API. So there are other types of request types as well. Get request, post request. I'll just write them down for you just to give you an idea. Get, post, patch, put, delete. This video is not about request types. Maybe we can cover that in a separate video, but just to give you an idea, get request I used to get information from a certain API. Post is used to send some information. Patch and put are used to update information. Delete is used to remove information. Right. So these are request types. Routes basically determine the logical path of the application that determines which part should this go to, and that is defined by the developers of this application. All right, they define it in their application. So if you've built applications in Node.js, Java, Python, whatever it may be, you may have some idea about this. So that is what an API ultimately consists of. Now there are some questions over here. What does this, why is this API made in the first place? So I said this before, right? A front end calls this API, and that's how things work typically. But an API, what it also does is that other users outside of youtube.com or any other application, whether it's Zerodha, whether it's OpenAI, they can also use this API to make their own custom applications. Alright, they can make their own custom clients to make their own applications. For example, if somebody wants to make a stock analysis website, and what they want to do is just display charts of data based on the historical pricing data of various stocks on the stock market. They shouldn't have to look for data or create data on their own. Zerodha says that, hey, listen, come to our website, sign up for our API. We have HTTP APIs for basically everybody. You can go over there, make the relevant request to our API, and get this data for your own application. You don't have to visit my application to basically show all this information to your users. You can simply use my API, get the data, show it on your website. So that's what an API is typically used for. So if you're still confused about what an API means, think about it this way. The I in API, it stands for interface, right? There is another such abbreviation called UI. You must have heard this as well, that the UI of this application is so bad, or it's so pretty, or we are hiring new UI designers for our company. That stands for what? User interface, right? So you see, there is a commonality over here. Interface with interface over here. So a user interface basically means an interface for a user, and the interface in API basically means an interface for an application. So maybe now you understand what this interface really means over here, if you did not understand it before. So that's one thing. Now you'll ask, okay, if all these companies, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Google, who exposes APIs for Google Drive, Google Photos, YouTube, and other such applications, Gmail, if all these companies have their APIs like that, like the ones that we saw over here on YouTube, why can't people just call them repeatedly and bring the website down? Well, it's a good question if you thought of that. And the harsh truth is that yes, people do try that, which is where the concept of API keys comes in. So what these people do is they say that, okay, you can get our API key. It may be free. You can maybe pay some money for it, and that's basically what you need to do, you pay the money or you sign up for that API. It will be a small opaque token. For example, if I go to this weather API or this OpenAI's API, right? Let's see pricing. Let's look for that. I'll explore the API. I'll see the pricing. So it will tell me that, okay, this is the price for using my API. Just sign up. I'll give you a certain token that you can put in your own application. While making a request, send that token to me so that I know who you are. And that way I will know that you are a real user. And that way I can also post some restrictions on you that, you can make 100 requests per hour or 1000 requests per day or something like that. For example, you can see this tab over here. This is a weather API. It's just a very simple API that you can use to start off when you want to learn more about APIs. So it says that in your free plan you can have 1 million API calls per month, which is pretty generous for them. And after signing up, you'll see such a page. I have signed up already. They'll give me an API key which looks something like this. It can look different for different applications, different companies, but yeah, this is the basic idea. You basically take this API key, put it in your application, and you're basically all set to make API calls. For example, before I move to the example, actually, you will ask, how do I know what to call? All right, that is where API docs come in. So I had this tab open over here. So they have this documentation, all these websites. This is OpenAI's documentation, for example. If you use AWS has pretty good documentation for their own services. So they tell us how to import their applications API, how to call that API, what to pass in that API. APIs are defined, right? Like I said, they have routes, they are following certain request types. Then, when it comes to the logic of the application, they can also have their own restrictions. For example, if you are trying to log into an application, you will have an email or and a password in that application. So if you send an email and if you do not send a password, that API will throw you an error. It will say that no, you are calling the right route and you are calling the correct request type, but you are not sending the kind of data that I'm expecting over here. So basically, all these things need to be kept in mind when you're trying to develop an API or use an API. So that is what is given in this documentation, how to consume this API properly. All right, so they say, okay, this is how you call it. Then you can store the response, and this is how you can use the response by getting the output text in this particular case. So let's try something out with our weather API. That's the simplest example that I can think of. So I take this API key. All right, you can just go over its documentation if you want to. They have this API Explorer or just the documentation straight away. And it basically gives you all these things. All right, so let's just go for weather alerts or something like that. And you can just explore that in your own time. What I've done for now is I'm using Postman, which is a pretty popular application to call APIs. If you do not want to build a whole full front end and then try calling, the Postman lets you define the route, the request type from over here. So many options, as you can see. And what you can do is try to follow the documentation. And in this particular documentation, we want to get the weather of the current weather of a certain city. So the documentation says that you have to pass it in the query over here. So I've passed New Delhi as my city, and I need to pass my API key over here, which lets me authenticate it. What happens if I don't pass in my API key? Let's see. So it will simply say that it is forbidden for me to make this request without my API key. So if I put in my API key now, and if I now send my request, the API allows me to get the results. So it gives me the data over here. And that is basically how things work when it comes to developing an API and using an API. So I hope this gives you a good idea about how APIs are, how they work when it comes to developing them, when it comes to consuming them. And I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. In the next video, we'll cover something cooler. So stay tuned and follow for more.